Hey, it's Kat at Kattalestv. I'm at the beach. I just finished working out, about to rinse off and take it home. But you know me, I'll do a video after something happens that piques my interest. Wack 100 did an interview discussing the Tory Lanez updates and him getting stabbed 14 times. He brought up some interesting points. And I don't know if I'm saying the name of the YouTuber. I don't know why I get stuck on this word. I don't know if he's saying media core and tutorials, or I'm getting tripped up with another way of saying the first name. But I think he does an excellent job of discussing the case in a fair way. But what media core was doing. Was listening to what Wack 100 said, and then, putting his 2 cents in. And one of the things that I disagree with these gentlemen on is that they're saying that Megan was so drunk she doesn't remember what happened. I don't believe it's true. I think she knows exactly what happened, but she's such an actress, and she so wants to be a star so bad that she's willing to lie. Obviously, she's willing to lie because she's lied so many times. One of the things that MediaCorp said was he wishes that Gayle King would do another interview with Megan. That's probably never going to happen because, Megan's never going to tell the truth because she can't. She's in it. And this story is so big and there's so many ramifications. And I kind of hinted on it on Twitter. But I gotta put my sunglasses on because the sun is it's about to be sunset, but it's still bright, and my eyes are tearing because of the wind. So hold on, let me see if I can find my freaking sunglasses. But what I want to say is that I think Megan knows exactly what she's doing. I think she's used to lying. I think she's had to lie most of her life due to her upbringing and the lifestyle that her family dynamics. Why wouldn't she lie? Her dad was in prison, allegedly a drug dealer. Her mother was a young rapper trying to keep the house, or apartment, wherever they lived, while the father was in jail. And she was taking Megan to studios while she was, trying to rap and recording albums, which I think is highly inappropriate. A young girl being in a studio around people who are probably smoking and drinking, and I just feel like she's from the streets. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I just feel like her home life wasn't stable. And when someone's home life's not stable, they're going to have trauma, and they're going to think things are normal that aren't, like drinking and doing drugs all the time, and comforting themselves with addictions, whether it be sex, drugs, alcohol, power, whatever, being manipulative. I just feel like Megan knows exactly what she's doing, but now the lie's so deep they have to move forward. And one of the things that I found very interesting that Wack said was of course this was a hit, but he said it wasn't Rock Nation. He said it came from higher than that, like LA County, because we all agree the guard stood down. They weren't there. The dude, Tory, was stabbed 14 times, and they said that the reason why he was able to get away because he slipped out of his shirt and he was able to run. Tory is a very blessed person. But I think what Wack said makes a hell of a lot of sense. They can't have this case be appealed because the ramifications is Gascon is a criminal. Kathy Taw and Alexander Bott are criminals, and they pushed a innocent man to be prosecuted, and an attempted murder was done on his life, and it's huge. Their careers are over. and they're trying to protect themselves. I was so disgusted about what I saw in that courthouse that if you go to my Twitter feed, I kept calling it the prostitution of law, because it is. You know, Tory probably thought he was going to have a fair trial. He thought he was going to get out because the evidence wasn't there, and he was surprised, like so many people, when he was found guilty. I wasn't surprised in the sense of how LA gets down. Nothing surprises me. They let murderers get away with shit, and rapists, and an innocent person gets put away. I don't know if I guys told you the story, but one of the guys that works out around the beach, who was a Trump supporter, and he said to me after Kamala lost that I was just upset because she was a woman, and I was like, no, that's not, I didn't vote for her because she was a woman. I voted for her because she was qualified. But anyway, this guy, he ended up getting in trouble, and his neighbors accused him of doing a crime that allegedly he didn't do, right? And there was all kinds of delays and all kinds of weird things going on, and I didn't know this, but he ended up going to jail. He's in jail for at least 3 months, and he might be coming out soon. But the joke of the whole situation is his neighbors were undocumented, right? And there's some law that if you're undocumented and there's a crime and you turn someone in, you get to, you kind of get immunity. So you're free to stay. You know what I mean? That's how fucked up this game is. And anytime I think of immunity, I think of Kelsey Harris. Why the fuck did she need immunity? It's so obvious this case was rigged. I just don't know if, like, Gavin Newsom and the people, the judicial review, have the balls and the decency to do the right thing. Because Kathy Ta and Alexander Bott, and maybe even the judge, is going to be reviewed about what they did and how they suppressed certain evidence and how things were lost. What's interesting about this case is that I do research. I actually do research. And there's laws about securing evidence and it being available for trial. And I did a video where I actually asked Sean Hawley about I think it's called Trumbata law, about evidence, and it has to be there. And I asked her, why didn't she put that in her court filings, that where is the gun? Where are the bullets? Where are the fragments from Horsey's foot? She didn't even do like the bare minimum of what a good lawyer would do. And I'm no fucking lawyer, and I figured this shit out. But there's so many inconsistencies, and if you don't know, Sean Hawley is connected to Jay-Z because she has a show that she's the executive producer based on her life called Reasonable Doubt, which is based on Jay-Z's album Reasonable Doubt, and every episode they use one of his songs. There's licensing involved. You can't just use someone's music without a contract being made. So she actually does have a relationship with Rock Nation and Jay-Z. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. But there's an echelon of black power, and these people get down together. It could be the judge, it could be Sean Hawley, it could be, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Gayle King, all that stuff. They're on a certain level of power and influence that they're going to protect each other. They're not going to stand up for an innocent man who got stabbed 14 times and the guards of the prison stood down. This should be, like, the warden should be held accountable. The people that were working should be held accountable. But the problem with America is you can't expect justice, which is a very dangerous thing, because that says the people have to take the justice back because we're not protected. And anyone can lie. Even a person who drinks and was drinking for fucking all day, and then 3 days before she was drunk with Kelsey, you can look at the July 9th on like Daily Mail UK. They did a whole thing where they took, Megan Thee Stallion's Instagram and showed that her and Kelsey were drinking and partying with all these other chicks in a pool and being extremely sexual. It almost looked to me like it was a rehearsal for what was going to happen with Tory. But that's another story. You can look at the other videos. All I'm trying to say is, another thing I found out today. Somebody responded on my Twitter feed and was asking the same dumb questions. And they said something about, the doctors that performed the surgery on Megan they testified in court, and I was like, no, they didn't. I was there. They didn't. They had a spokesperson speak, and then the person kept just saying, like, regurgitating stupid shit that wasn't necessarily true. Then I looked on their Twitter profile. They have like 300,000 followers. It's an AI bot. These motherfuckers have AI bots acting like they're people answering the questions that they made answers for. So all they're doing is using propaganda to keep promoting the lies these motherfuckers started. This is so disgusting, and it's so complicated in regards to how a criminal organization, the music industry, is like a gang, and they're exploiting their artists. The artists are dressed up slaves. I call it the Sunday best, because if you don't know, slaves in America, what ended up happening was the slave masters decided to give the lead house Negro the Bible to teach the other slaves how to read. Okay, so it was indoctrination of, Christianity, and that a white God, and they should worship them and they should be obedient. So what it started happening was the house Negroes were put on a pedestal because they were lighter skinned, raped by the slave masters. They had lighter skin than the field Negroes. So there was this whole like caste system of color. If you had light skin, that meant you had white blood, and you're lighter skin, so you were considered better, and you got the leftovers from the master when they got tired of their clothes, and they started calling it the Sunday best. So the house Negroes were looking better in clothes wise and treated better than the field Negroes. That's how America got down. So all I see is these musicians, these rappers, they're just dressed up slaves promoting the agenda of their masters, and promoting things that get people gonorrhea, STDs, pregnant, doing drugs, doing alcohol, going to jail, fighting, guns, drug deal, all that stuff. They promote it because it puts you in prison, most likely, and they want free labor. So they've dressed up slavery in a new costume. I'm so disgusted, like seriously, this country is falling. It's so corrupt, and there's no morals at all. And like the people who are halfway decent, we're constantly bombarded with bad people getting away with crimes. Megan not being held accountable for all her fucking lies and all her drinking and all her videos that she promoted boating blows my mind. But as I close, I just want you to remind you, Kathy Taw, Alexander Bott, who I'm sure wants to be the mayor of LA, their careers are over. It makes sense they would try to eliminate Tory in any way they can, because you see, the mainstream media is really not covering this. But it's the stink of this horseshit is starting to expand to people who didn't know about it, because the facts have been regurgitated. And you'll start to find out a lot of the people that are, if you're on social media and you're getting people just being really stupid, it's probably a bot. Because they have AIs that will do the dirty work for you. This is all about propaganda and brainwashing and continuing slavery. So anyway, this is Kat at Kattalestv. I'll give you one more look at the beach. I don't know if you can see that boat down there. That's amazing. But yeah, I had an interesting workout. I had a really busy week, and some good things happen. But yeah, take time for yourself and take care of yourself. But don't let these motherfuckers get you down. Tory is a genius. I found that out the roundabout way because I didn't know who he was before. But he's a genius and he deserves better. And he's a decent person. And he admits his mistakes. Unlike Megan Thee Stallion, who will never admit her mistakes. But I do believe that bitch knows exactly what she's doing. The audacity to say that she doesn't have a drinking problem, that she's suing Milagro because Milagro mentioned that she has a drinking problem, is insane. Megan promotes she has a drinking problem. She admits it. All the videos online prove it. Her friends even joke about it. So why? It's like she's copying Donald Trump's playbook. He just keeps going and ignores the law. And that's what she's doing. All of her shaking her ass and all of her Walmart bathing suits isn't going to save her fan base. You guys keep talking about this fucking case and call Gavin Newsom and call that warden, because he's probably not answering his phone call. But we have to do something to keep these people held accountable, because this shit's outrageous. All right, let me go because these motherfuckers are playing loud music. You guys take care and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.